Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have an opportunity to work on a reel that Dan from California sent in. It's a beautiful reel in nice condition, but it's a little tight. And I would say that probably just has some dried grease or needs some grease. This is the Shimano TLD Triton Lever Drag 20. It's a narrow frame, heavy duty reel with the lever drag system. Good for a lot of trolling and well, heavier fish, and that would be found, I guess, I'm not sure if he's up in the San Francisco Bay or out in the Pacific, but regardless, we're going to get this one running so that well, he can take it fishing and well, put it to good use, giving it a second chance. Well, we're going to get started by taking off the exterior pieces and parts. I'm going to start with the handle. And then as we're doing that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of fishing reel service and repair. If you like to learn how reels are made and how to service them, keep them fishing for a long time, or restore them, bring them back from, well, conditions that probably forced them to stop fishing somewhere along the way. So if you like that kind of stuff, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. That notification button will let you know when I'm posting, and you'll see if it's a video that you would like to watch. I work on all kinds of reels, whatever comes in my shop for service. A lot of those do become videos, and well, if they become a video, you'll be able to learn from them. And that's the idea, to take what I know and pass it along to you so that you can do it yourself. I have a tool here. This is actually, I believe, for a pan reel, but it does fit this handle screw on the Shimano, and so we've removed that. When you take these reels apart, make sure you take pictures along the way. It's very easy, if you don't know the reel, to forget where a particular piece and part goes, well, and then you get in trouble. So we have a preset adjuster here and a spring that rides on the inner post. And when I take the pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. My parts tray is just an old fast food container, but I would recommend, regardless of what you use, just have a system where you know where the pieces are, so that when it comes time to reinstall, well, you can go right to them and not worry about searching for them. This is an example of what I think is happening inside the reel. That's got grease on it, and that grease is dried. So dried grease is going to bog down the performance of a reel. In some cases, it's going to stop the reel from performing all around. So you just want to make sure that as you do this, that you clean. There's only a few steps really in servicing a reel. One of them is, well, doing what we're doing here. It's taking the reel apart, inspecting the pieces and parts, cleaning up any debris and the like, and if there's a broken piece or part, replacing it, and then just working on getting the reel back together again, so that you have the confidence that when you take that reel fishing, it's not going to fail on you. This is our lever drag arm, and you can see there's a little buildup of that old grease in here as well. There's a little click mechanism. You want to make sure that as you mount this, you get that little click spring there set properly. There's a series of ridges here that's going to click on. And you just want to make sure that you don't bend it on the way in. And we have a Teflon washer that sits between the case and that arm. Okay, we're going to take off then the ridge or the ramp for that lever. Now there's two things to note. There's two little spacers behind these on both sides. They'll probably fall out as soon as I remove this screw. So if you're looking on your desk, if maybe you got started on this reel already, and well, I was wrong. This particular model has the spacers built in there, so you don't have to worry as much. Sometimes those models have a little collar behind them, and then they go bouncing around and you start wondering what you have there. I'll try and move this off next. Look, it's a little shield for your main gear. And again, taking pictures, it's going to help remind you where these things go. Well, I've noticed on this one, when the reel was serviced before, somebody's put a different screw in here. So likely that one got lost along the way. No harm with that, so long as it's the right screw. Sometimes these screws that they substitute in, somebody will just jam them in there, and while they being the wrong screw, sometimes they cause damage to the case. So I'm going to set that one off to the side. I'm going to make sure that I remember that it's right next to the word free on that bar when I go to reinstall. If that did change the threading in the case, well, if nothing else, I'll just put it back into the same one and not have that alter two of them. There's a lot of screws on this one. I get asked frequently, can I use a mechanical screwdriver when I do these reels? And it requires some hand strength, and well, your arms and hands can get fatigued by taking out 6 or 7 of these screws. So my answer generally is be very careful if you do use that. Maybe that's what happened with the one that got substituted there. It's possible that somebody over-torqued the screw and shredded the screw head. That happens all the time. I see a lot of that come in. I don't mind necessarily that you use the screw taking the reel apart, but that screwdriver on the way back in has a lot of torque. And if you're, if you're at a graphite case like this one, then you may warp the case, or you may snap it, depending on the strength of that screwdriver. So just, if you're using it on the way back in, leave the screw like this. Leave it proud. Don't finish it off with that mechanical screwdriver, but rather come back in and just tighten the last 2 or 3 turns by hand so that you can avoid that issue. Well, I'm looking at this as we're doing this. This is a Shimano reel that was made in their Malaysian plant, and Shimano's been in Malaysia for years. So originally it's a Japanese reel manufacturer that, well, just like in the US, Japan got expensive and they moved their reels manufacturers offshore. Some of the Japanese manufacturers moved to Korea, like Daiwa and Ryobi. Some of them, like Shimano, moved to Malaysia. Some are made in Thailand. And then, of course, a lot of them have since moved on to China. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All those screws appear to be out. We should be able to separate this case now. We're bringing that out, and here's your look at the inside gearing. And I think that's probably what we're seeing here. We're seeing that it's very dry. So remember what I said, it was either dried grease. Well, in this case, it's no grease. That's probably what's bogging this down. All right, we're going to remove the spool. And we're going to do a couple of things here. The first thing we want to do is, well, take this off. This is a handset, but now that I'm looking at it, I think this probably is, yep, this is the wrench for this one. If you like, you can put the wrench, or maybe it's not. It doesn't appear to be, but I think that's probably for the pen reel. But pen has a setup like this where you would put the wrench in that little piece and pull. This is reverse screw, so they're telling you that. They're saying unscrew, go in the clockwise manner as opposed to the traditional counterclockwise manner. So let's just grab that, use some hand strength, that's all you need to do, and unscrew this. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, if you leave those questions in the comment section, I will try to answer those for you. Here's the inside workings of this piece. You have the cap, which is holding the pressure plate on. This pressure plate is going to move in and out based on that lever. As you increase the lever, it's going to push this in for contact on the drag washer. My first impressions right now, having seen the inside of this and the drag washer, is this reel's never been used. We'll see. Take pictures here. You have the bearing. That bearing usually rides in here. You can put that in here. Yeah, there's no evidence of scarring or anything on that pressure plate. We have a spring under my parts tray so I don't lose that. And usually you can push this out. Well, we can't push it out because we have the 2 screws here. Let's go ahead and remove those 2 screws. You want to service this because there's 2 or 3 bearings in here. You need to make sure that you get these bearings oiled. I oil bearings. I don't grease those. Okay, now we've pulled the entire shaft out. Here's that other bearing we were looking at. Good place to take a picture. So here's your inner workings. We have a C-clip that holds this from advancing up the axle shaft. We have 4 tension washers if you've taken these off. These are concave or convex washers. They've got bellies in them. These are going lip to lip 2 times. And we have the tie down in the back here. If you wanted to remove this, you can knock that pin out there. That will do that. Okay, I'm going to oil that bearing. Please use fishing reel oil when you're doing your oiling of these pieces and parts. All I have to do on this one then is clear out the back. There's old greases in there. Old greases need to get removed. They trap debris and dirt, and they can have a grinding effect in the performance of those reels if not taken care of. Now we can put this back. I've just knocked the other bearing out on the other side. Again, you just need to be aware of what you're doing here and pay attention. I knew that bearing was there. I probably figured I was going to knock it out anyway. All right, align the screw holes with the holes in the spool. Put this back in. And because these bearings haven't had any oil or treatment in a while, my guess is that's why the spool was spinning a little slowly. And while I'm also going to guess that this thing is going to start to fly once we reassemble. This is a pin that's going to sit in the back of the case. You can see that slot right here. And that pin has to be 50-50 on each side of the post. If it goes like that, it's not going to seat in the case. So you need to make sure you split the difference there. You don't need to do anything on the drag washers. We can take our first bearing here, get that back in. I'm going to make sure I oil that. Now this time around I'm using Lucas fishing reel oil. I like it. It has a little arm on it or extension that enables you to kind of reach into tight spots. On this pressure plate I took the bearing that we had out and I put it into the case, and again I'm going to flood this one with oil as well. Go off that little grease there. We can put the pressure plate back on, and now we can take our cap. Now remember, we unscrewed this in a clockwise direction, which is reverse, so to re-screw it you got to turn it in the opposite direction. And hand tightening is fine. Get it tight, and whatever your hand strength is, that's good enough. If you hold it now and spin it, you'll see it spins nice and easily. Let's split the difference on that post. Let's take this, put it right back into the case. Again, this appears that the case has never seen any activity. If you had a dirty case, go ahead and clean it. It's best to do it while that's off. All right, that's the case side. Very simple design here. So what you have on this side is a main gear, and a pinion gear, and a bearing. All right, this has got an anti-reverse dog on it. When we push this out, it's most likely it's going to just pop it off. It did. Pull your gear off. When we go to reset this now, notice you have a spring and a clip that's holding this down. The spring is held in by kind of a pressure clip here on a post. Spring, bottom of the anti-reverse dog. You'll see how we set this in a little bit, but what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to pull up on that tag end once we have the main gear in to clear so that that anti-reverse dog can clear these teeth on the back end of the main gear. Well, again, if there's anything with this reel, it's that the reel is dry and devoid of grease. We're going to use grease on this now. We grease the gears. So we're going to make sure that we check the teeth. The teeth are fine. I did that already. Doesn't take long to spot an issue to the trained eye, but take your time and make sure that as you're looking at this, that you check the teeth to make sure that there's no chips or cracks or broken teeth. I just did a video on the flea market that I went to, and well, we had a problem with a Penn 704 fishing reel, and what we found was the teeth were broken on the main gear. So it's not unusual for that to happen, and you need to check it. Just don't assume that it's right or wrong. Oiling up the bearing now. We're going to make sure that we put a drop of oil onto this anti-reverse dog. If you've taken the anti-reverse dog off, make sure that the spring is nestled in this little hole in the peak there. We've greased the teeth and the shaft of the main drive. I'm going to set that in. I'm going to hold pressure on that now, and we're going to take a pick, pull up on the main gear, or pull up on the dog so that it seats in the main gear. Turn it, and you'll see that it's working now. Okay, that is the gear side. I'm trying to do that so that I don't poke that out. Sometimes the best way to do that is just take this collar, hold the pressure on the back of the main gear, put the collar on. Like that, and that should hold that in place. And you can see again how that's working. One of the problems, however, I did is I didn't put that little piece back in. So yeah, I didn't notice that going in. We'll do it again just for your benefit, and because it needs to be done. Let's get the collar off. I'm going to push this out. That's going to go on the shaft here. Just like that. Do it again. Insert your main gear. Pull down on your anti-reverse dog. Let's put that sleeve back on while we're holding the tension on the main gear. Test it to make sure that it's riding the way it should, and set that off to the side. Well, we only have one more piece left here. There's a little bit of dried grease in the teeth on this one, so I'm going to use a brush to pull through on that, clearing all of that. Do the same thing, you check the teeth. I just did it as I was pulling the brush through. So we want to do the kind of the mopping up of the teeth. And in this case, what I like to do with this one, because there's a merge here where the teeth have to fit into the slots on the pressure plate, I like to put it in on this side as opposed to the way we found it, which was seated in that bearing. So we do that, we can now reload. There we go. I was just looking, there's a weep hole down here. So any water that gets inside that reel comes out of the weep hole on the bottom. And that's always a good place for me when I do this, to make sure that I have that case set on properly. All right, all of the screws that I took out from the side, with the exception of that one, it was a replacement screw, are bundled in my little parts tray. So I'm going to go back to this one now. And we're going to start by putting these in opposite direction kind of positions so that we can tighten this down. Again, there's a lot of work going on here with tightening these screws down. If you do use that mechanical screwdriver, just don't put it all the way in. Leave it a little bit short. Okay. We said that the one that was the replacement screw was next to that free. So I'm going to come over on this side here with one of the good ones. one of the original ones. They're all good, I guess. And we'll do this again. Well, while I'm doing this, it's going to take a minute or two or three. So if you have any questions on this reel, or any reel in particular, maybe you're working on one and you're stuck, maybe you have a question on the history of a particular reel, maybe you're thinking about buying a reel. I just got a question. Somebody was looking to buy a live lining reel. They asked me my preference on a Penn spin fisher versus a Shimano bait feeder. Those kinds of questions. If you want to leave those, that's fine. I will try to answer those for you. By the way, I answered that my preference is with the Shimano, but that's my preference. It doesn't mean that Penn's a bad reel. Penn is a good reel. I just don't run into a lot of problems with the Shimano 6500D. So if you ask me what my preference is, I'll try to be honest with you and let you know. All right, there's a couple more here. There's 3 more screws. This will only take a minute or two, hopefully. One more of the originals. And we'll put that other one in. That was the replacement. So the curiosity here is I don't think this reel's ever been used, but for some reason the screw that's on the back end of this doesn't appear to be the original screw. So, not sure how or why or what caused that, but that's the one we're putting in here. As we marked it, this was the one that said free next to the TLD 20, and it's going back in that same position. Okay, with that done, then we want to install the ramp. Now, to me, generally speaking, on these lever drags, it's sometimes a little difficult to get the arm on once you install the ramp. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the ramp and the lip, just kind of lay it over each other, and lay that arm in position. That way I don't have to worry about fighting it later. Some of those have very tight tolerances on the lever drags. I can't say for certain whether this is one of them, but I've learned that if you hook that beak before, you don't run into the issues that you may run into with those tight tolerances. I put the 2 on the corners first. These are bump guards. So on this side where I'm working now, it prevents the lever drag from going past here. And this is your free spool part. And then on the other side, it prevents the lever from going forward any more than the max drag position. That's their purpose there. All right, I've found with these ramps that the best way to do this is to move your lever arm all the way over to the free spool position. With that in free spool, find the 2 raised pyramids or triangles and align them with the valleys that are corresponding in the lever. This is generally the way that you could assure yourself that you're going to have it working the first time. A lot of folks try to set this up just haphazardly, and then they find out that they have no free spool. So that's what that'll do. All right, we're in free spool mode. We should be spinning. We are spinning very nicely. And when we come over to drag, we should have our gear turning. Back to free spool. The handle's not turning, but the spool is. And that's kind of how you set that up. We'll do a fine-tuning adjustment on it in just a moment, but we just want to finish with this now. So the handle is next. screw goes on. Do this by hand as much as you can. You don't want to strip the insides of the gear with the threads. I just had a Penn 750 come in. The handle was over tightened, the screw was cross stripped, and the inside threads of the gear were ruined. And unfortunately, that gear is no longer available. Oops, try that. You need to align the scallop on the handle nut with the position for the tie-down screw. And the tie-down screw is the last one. So this was the first one off, last one on. Once you're aligned, make sure you tighten that down so that what that does is that locks in that handle screw so that it doesn't shake free from boat vibration, which is probably the #1 cause for missing screws on fishing reels that are used on boats. That engine vibration runs right through the floor of the boat, and well, if you got these rod racks and the like, that's what the issues will become. They shake free. So if you put a stop screw in here, it's going to prevent that from spinning out. All right, we're in free spool. Give it a spin. Boy, what a difference that is in just a little bit, and all it is some oil and grease, right? It's still spinning. I don't know if you can see that because it's a dark colored spool, but it is just spinning away the way it should. Go to first strike. That's first strike. You should have a turn, but a little bit of loose drag. Go to the second one. Now you should have a full-on drag or you can't move it, and that's what we have here. Now there are some subtle adjustments along the way. If you want to bring max drag in a little bit earlier, you tighten this down clockwise manner. If you want your max drag to be a little bit lighter and allow for the line to still spool out, well, you back it off, go counterclockwise. So that's it. That's the service, how to take it apart, service it, how the reel is made, how it operates, and how Dan will have it going fishing again because it's been serviced and ready to go. I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. I truly do appreciate your efforts. To everyone, enjoy the art of reel repair. It's coming into winter time now, so if you're looking for something to do, maybe on a snowy day or a wet day or whatever the winter brings you, take out your reels, make sure that they're serviced, give them the appropriate care and attention. You won't be disappointed when the season opens and you're ready to go. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.